What's going on, everybody? David here. Today we're going to talk about VA beneficiaries. So if you are a VA beneficiary, you're going to want to stay tuned. We're also going to talk about paper checks. So when are the paper checks going to be mailed out? We know May 1st they started, but we're going to talk about, depending on your salary, will you be receiving a paper check this week? And then we're also going to talk about, does he have a plan? And I'm going to let you know who he is when we get to that section. That'll be at the end of this video. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that as well. But first off, on this channel, we talk about personal finance for travelers. If that sounds like something interesting to you, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the little bell notification so you can get future updates on my videos. So let's talk about VA beneficiaries. Now, I don't have that much information, unfortunately. I'm only going off the comments. So we have a lot of people in the comment section that are letting us know when they receive their checks, which I really appreciate. And please continue doing that. So if you guys are receiving your checks, whether they be paper checks or the direct deposits, let me know in what category you're in. So that way I can let other people know who's getting their checks and in what category they're in. Now, so when it comes to VA beneficiaries, I don't have that much information, but I do know that people are receiving their checks. So VA beneficiaries are receiving their checks. And so that's a good sign. That's a good thing. Now, you do have VA beneficiaries who have other jobs and have filed their taxes in the past. So they've already received their checks. They should have already received their checks. But when it comes to non-filers, that's where we don't know if they're getting direct deposits yet. The way that they were rolling everything out, it was going to be veterans were going to be last. So you're going to have SSI, which was last week mainly, and then VA. So hopefully VA beneficiaries should be receiving something this week, and some of them might. Some of them have already told me that they did receive something last week. So we're kind of in that we don't really know period. And when it comes to VA beneficiaries, and it's very unfortunate, I said this in previous videos, that the veterans were left to be last as far as receiving their checks. But that's the way they designed this. I don't know why they did it that way, but that's the way they did it. So please let me know in the comments section if you are a VA beneficiary and you have received your check, and if it's a direct deposit or if you received a paper check. That way I can really get that information out. So now let's talk about paper checks. People who fall in this financial category should be receiving their paper checks this week. And so it's going to be from $30,000 to $40,000. Those people should be receiving their checks. Now, it's very important for you guys to also let me know in the comment section if you received a paper check and what category. If you don't mind, if it's not too personal, what category you fall in, as far as, are you between 30,000 and 40,000? Are you between 40,000 to 50,000? That way we'll know if they're on track, because the IRS didn't give us a calendar. We basically created this on our own, and I do have it on my website. I'll post a link so you guys can check it out, and you can just go over, and if you want to save it, go ahead and do that. Just go to the website, just right click on it and save image as, and then you'll have it. I wanted to provide something just as a guide, but I want to know if the IRS is on track with what they're saying. So they've kind of given us some rough estimates. And so that's how the calendar was created, based on the information they provided. So hopefully it's very close, and you guys can let me know just in the comment section what category you are, and that will help out a lot. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about, and we're talking about Mitch McConnell. Okay, so let's back up and start from the beginning of this whole process. So on Friday, the House voted on the HEROES Act, and they approved the HEROES Act. Now it's going to the Senate. Now we're going to see what the Senate does with it. They've already said that it's going to be dead on arrival, but I really think they're going to have to do something this week. But they're saying it's dead on arrival, so they might not do anything this week. The senators might not do anything. They might just sit on the sidelines, maybe throw out a couple of different proposals, but not really do anything, and then go on Memorial Day recess, and then come back June 1st, and then decide what they're going to do from that point. So the first thing I want to show you is a clip. So Mitch McConnell, he was on Fox News a couple of days ago, and he talked about the liability protection. That's his red line. So he's saying liability protection needs to be in this bill. So let's talk a little bit about liability protection and what it will cover. So basically, Mitch McConnell wants businesses to have some protections when it comes to their employees and consumers. So let's say an employee or a consumer says that they contracted COVID-19 at their establishment and they try to sue this business. He wants there to be protections in place so this business doesn't go under because of a civil lawsuit. So that's what the protections are all about. So let's go ahead and check out this video.
Brett, I think the President and Senate Republican majorities will be on the same page when we get to the point where we need to do another bill. And our red line is going to be liability protections for those who are brave enough to begin to open up the economy again in the wake of the trial lawyers who are descending already. on hospitals and doctors and businesses. As of about a week and a half ago, 771 lawsuits had already been filed. So we're working on a narrowly crafted protection from liability for things directly related to the coronavirus, and that will have to be a part of any package, because if we're really going to get the economy up and going again, people have to be brave enough to begin to engage in economic activity. How about the presidents of universities? Are they willing to open up for the fall? Or are we going to have another period of time where not only K through 12 students, but potentially college students are still at home? All of those questions need to be answered by the fall. Liability protection will help provide the answer.
So you guys saw the video, and there are two things that I want to touch on, and then I'll talk a little bit about why I think there's just no plan at this point. So 771 lawsuits have already been filed. So 771 lawsuits have already been filed. Liability lawsuits. Someone has contracted COVID-19, I guess, at an establishment, and they're suing. So there's a sense of urgency, you would think, right? If you have a business and they're being sued, the business is being sued, that's a big deal. And I totally understand that. And if I had a business, I would be the same way. I'd be very, very concerned. And another thing he's talking about is businesses being brave enough to open up their doors. And a way that we can help them is by having this liability protection. So he's saying these two things, and he's saying this, but then on the other hand, he's saying, let's wait. Let's take a pause. Let's see how the last stimulus package works. So on one hand, he's saying he wants businesses to open up. On the other hand, he's saying we need to wait. We need to take a pause. So these things don't make sense, right? Because if you are an employer, if I have a business and I hear one side talking about liability protection, and then I hear the other side saying that we haven't drawn any red lines. So the Democrats have already said we haven't drawn any red lines. We're open to negotiate. If I have a business, I'm not going to open up my business right now. The reason why I'm not opening my business right now is because there's no liability protection. Okay. However you feel about liability protection and how it will be implemented and the guidelines and all that stuff, however you feel about that, if I'm a business owner, I'm looking out for my business and I do not want to be sued. So if I can have some extra added protections, then I'm going to wait for those protections to be in place before I open up my doors. So the push for let's go back to work, let's open up business, that's one side, but you have to get the liability protection stuff in there. And so that's why I'm saying right now, I don't think he has a plan. And I know last week he was working on some stuff with some other senators as far as coming together with a liability protection plan, but nothing has been put out there as of recently. I know there was a congressperson that put something out about liability protection, mainly for employees, not for the consumers, but there hasn't really been anything that's out there right now. So he doesn't have a plan. That's why he wants to pause. He doesn't know what to do when it comes to liability protection, because if he did, then he would be getting that out there as soon as possible. Why are you going to wait until June 1st, which potentially you can wait till June 1st. If they go on recess next week, then you're going to be waiting until June 1st before you do anything. So these businesses are not going to open up. They're not going to want to open up because it's not safe. If they open up and something happens in these 2 weeks, they're facing lawsuits because this is not going to protect them. Liability protection won't protect them. So I'm really looking at this. I'm looking at all sides, and the only thing that I can think is he doesn't have anywhere to go with this. So you can't negotiate if you don't have a proposal. So he doesn't have a proposal at this point. He's working on it. And he even said, this was a couple of days ago that this video was out, he even said that he's working out some of the details. So they have not worked anything out yet. So May 4th, they came back. They spent that whole week approving judges when he could have been working on this liability protection because he was talking about it back then. So there's no urgency on his behalf, but that's going to help the economy get back on track. That's going to help businesses open up. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. The only thing that I can take from this is there's nothing. He doesn't have anything when it comes to a plan. Or maybe he's running into some roadblocks on how to implement this and the guidelines, because you're going to have guidelines. Now, I want to take a look at this article here from The Hill, and they quote him here. So we're gonna talk about some of the stuff that he says here. So he doesn't want to have like absolute immunity for these businesses. So the plan that he's trying to put together is not going to have any absolute immunity, which is great because you don't want employers to just be out there doing their own thing and thinking, okay, well, if someone gets COVID-19, it's not going to be a big deal because we have this liability protection. So there are going to be guidelines. And so he says here, to be clear now, we're not talking about immunity from lawsuits. There will be accountability for actual gross negligence and intentional misconduct. That will continue, he said. So he's saying that, yeah, these businesses aren't going to be able to just do their own thing. And so that's good. That's a good part of, like, he hasn't gone into any detail until this point where he's talked about are these businesses still going to be liable for things if they are negligent. And then he goes on to say, we aren't going to provide immunity, but we are going to provide some certainty. If we want American workers to clock back in, we need employers who know if they follow the guidelines, they will not be left to drown in opportunistic litigation, he added. So he's saying here that it's very important for us to make this happen. However, he's not making it happen. He's waiting. And these 2 weeks, this could be a really big deal because businesses will start to open up and they will start to hire their employees back. And hopefully the consumers will start coming back into stores and shopping, and we can get out of this a lot faster. But no, Mitch McConnell wants to wait. He wants to wait until June 1st and then start looking at stuff. So I'm just telling you the reason that he's pausing and he's saying that he wants to pause and wait. It's not because of the current HEROES Act. If you look at the CARES Act, the whole undocumented immigrant thing, you needed to have a social security number in order to receive stimulus checks. Democrats already approved that in the last bill. So why wouldn't they approve it in this bill? Obviously, they're going to try to push a little bit, push a little further, but you push back and they're going to still approve that. So we already know that. Now, as far as the cannabis thing, that's something they're going to have to work out, but these aren't big issues that he's talking about right now. These are issues that can easily be, the whole immigration thing, that's a one-liner. Must have social security number, period. That's it. So I really think he's just stalling. That's it. He's stalling because he does not have a proposal. And so once he gets that proposal, I guess he thinks it's going to take him 2 weeks to come up with the proposal. Once he gets that proposal, then he'll probably be wanting to move forward. But in the meantime, you're not encouraging businesses to get back going. So you're saying one thing, let's open things up, let's get the economy going, but then you're not supporting them. And so if you're not going to support, especially small businesses, if you're not going to support a small business, then they're not going to open. This is their whole livelihood. This could be the end of their business. So why would they want to open if they know something probably will come down the road where something that will protect them? Why open 2 weeks before or even a month before this is in place? Because if you do, you're done. You're done. Some of these civil lawsuits for these small companies, these small little mom and pop businesses, it will completely ruin them. So do you guys think I'm on the right track when we're talking about the pause? Do you think that that's what's going on? He just doesn't have a proposal together yet, and so that's why he's pausing. Let me know down below in the comments. So the last thing I want to talk about is we reached 100,000 subscribers yesterday, and it's amazing. It is amazing just to see the growth. And I'll tell you about my timeline from when I started my channel and till this point. I'll talk about that once I receive you get like a little silver play button. So we're going to do an unboxing of that, and then we'll talk about the channel as far as the growth. And it's just amazing to me. And I've been working at this for quite some time. So I started the channel in 2011. And I wasn't really that active on the channel to start off with, but then I got a little more active about like 2017. And from that point on, I've been really, really serious about YouTube. So it's great to see that progression and to see getting to this point and to this milestone. So I really appreciate it. I couldn't have done it without you guys. I mean, it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing platform. And just to think you can reach out to all these people and I can put out a video and it could be seen by 100,000 people within a day it baffles my mind. And I really appreciate it. I just wanted to say that. So if you guys have any comments, any questions about anything, always feel free to put it down below. I encourage you to put it down below because I like talking with you guys. And understand this too. I'm talking to a camera. So in order for me to know what you guys think. I need for you guys to put comments down below, because if not, then it's just like me talking to a camera. I'm not talking to a real person unless you guys comment below. So please do that. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.